Okay, now I bet you never thought we could have quite so much fun with one chord, folks, but we really can. Here's some of the things that you can do with the D minor, okay? Here are some of the really cool variations that are available to you as you really get into studying modal music. One of the things that you can do is that even though this is a D minor chord going on for what seems like years and years, you can do what we call imply the 5 chord. Now the 5 chord of D minor would be an A7. So sometimes what people do when they're playing a modal thing is and what I did there was I put in A7 chords, A7 flat 9 and an A7 sharp 9 up here, and I put those chords in as if there is a 5 chord. Now even though the bass player is still walking through a D minor, the reason that this works is because of the strong pull from that 5 chord to the 1. Remember, it's called a dominant chord for a reason. And because of the strength of that chord going to that D minor, it's almost as if the bass player was playing it, even if he or she isn't playing those exact notes. And there's so much strength in that sound, and it really gives you a lot of push and drive when you're playing instead of just staying in the key. Listen what it sounds like. That's one of the things that you can do. Another thing that you can do, which was really, this sound was really developed to a very high art form by McCoy Tyner in the 60s playing with John Coltrane. And this is where you can actually take the minor chord and imply other harmonies up or down different relationships to the 1 chord. For instance, there I'm moving in minor thirds. D minor to F minor to A flat minor. And again, the reason that you can do that is you know that you can keep coming back to your D minor chord. That's home base. So you can stray out of that tonality. You could move in half steps. You can move in major thirds if you wanted to. That's a little more uncommon, but it's certainly just as valid. So you can move in any relationship as long as you come back to, at some point, come back to home base, which is your D minor chord. Another sound that's very hip that happens a lot is to do what we call harmonic sidestepping, which is just what it implies, moving up or down a half step from your basic D minor. So I'm moving into D sharp or E flat minor and then down to C sharp minor. And that just creates a little bit of tension coming back to the 1 chord. Goes out of the key, comes back to the key. And again, the bass player is still playing along in D minor, but you've said, and we're going to get into the solo section later, and we're going to do the same kind of things. But you said, okay, I know there's D minor, and you just give it a little bit of a tude there. It's kind of cool. Going in and out of the tonality. So that's some of the cool ideas that you're going to hear me do. Okay, let's review all of the different things that I've been talking about in terms of playing a nice accompaniment part for a modal tune. Okay, firstly, you have to be able to play your D minor. In this case, that's the 1 chord that we'll be using through the song. D minor up and down the neck. Be sure you've got your basic chords of your D minor and that you can play them everywhere. D minor 7. Then what you're going to want to do is play some of the other chords from the key of C major. So we're treating the D as the 2 chord, D Dorian, treating it as the 2 chord of C major. And so you can learn to play up and down your whole neck by playing each of the chords in this key. And you're doing different rhythms. Basically, you're doing the Charleston rhythm, playing on 1 and the end of 2, or 4 to the bar. Okay, so that's the first thing that we did. Then we started to talk about all the ways you can take this out and really color this sound when you're comping. You can play as if there's an implied 5 chord. And start adding some A7s and some A7 altered chords into the D minor. The other thing that we talked about is that you can actually you can move in different intervals, a minor, in this case, a minor third away from the original chord, as long as you come back at some point to the original chord, to your home base. So that's another idea. And finally, we talked about harmonic sidestepping, where you take the chord and you move it up or down a half step. And that's going to create some really strong sound, because when your ear hears you go out by a half step, when you come back home to D minor, it really makes a strong and very powerful resolution, very clear.